Good afternoon to our PICC members, our marketing partners, and other friends that have joined us today. Our principal partner, GHD. This year, GHD celebrate 25 years of creating lasting community benefit in the Philippines. During this time, it has demonstrated its commitment to supporting the private and public sectors in addressing the infrastructure needs in the country. By using technical knowledge and the latest digital tools and resources to deliver integrated planning, design, environmental, construction management, advisory, and digital services. It provides clients with an efficient and intelligent way of doing infrastructure projects. GHD offices in Metro Manila and Cebu are home to 1,000 employees, architects, engineers, environmental and social scientists, drafters, and modelers, geologists, management professionals, and experienced support personnel. And we have here Ms. Jem Rubio, the market leader for transportation. Mace. Mace has been operating in the Philippines since 2010 and now have been 270 staff. In this time, they have delivered multiple complex projects for major global companies across all asset classes, bringing international standards to the local market. Their services include delivery-focused program and project management and advisory based on global best practice and unparalleled local expertise for the private and public sectors. And we have here Ms. Carla Cardones, the Senior Business Development Manager of Mace. Industry partner, we have the Santa Clara International Corporation, and we are also affiliated with the Philippine Mining Club, Lighthouse Club Manila, and we have here Marilu Sauro, the administrator. The media partner, the Philippine Resources and Construction Journal, and we have here Marcel Villegas, the Manila Times. Ladies and gentlemen, may I say a few words about our MC today? Our MC for today is a former news anchor of ANC or ABS-CBN News Channel, where he co-hosted award-winning TV programs. Before ANC, he was a news anchor and associated producer at Bloomberg TV Philippines for the daily broadcast of The Starting Gate and In the Loop. Outside of his career in TV broadcasting, he is currently the president of WEnergy Power Pilipinas, Archipelago Renewables. He is the head of business development for WEnergy Global, which leads in clean, reliable, and affordable energy solutions. He is the founder of the Library Renewal Partnership, which has helped build over 1,000 libraries in the Philippines and overseas, and an author of 3 books in poetry and prose. He has over 20 years of leadership experience in the energy, natural resources, and development sector. He has expertise in policy development and governance strategy, formulation and execution, business development, social investment, to name a few. He is educated and trained at the leading institution in the UK, USA, and Asia Pacific. In the University of Oxford in England, he graduated with a master's degree in literature, creative writing, international management, and public policy program. In University of Cambridge in United Kingdom, he has a master's degree in the international relations, political risk, mitigation, and competitiveness. He is also a graduate of Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., USA with an MBA International Management. In Ateneo de Manila University, he has a degree in BA Political Science, minor in French Studies. Our Emcee is a fellow of the Asia Society and was named among the top U.S. ASEAN Business Council Young Leaders, and is on the board of the Georgetown and Oxbridge Alumni Clubs of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Emcee, Mr. Quintin Pastrana.
Thank you very much, Joanne, for that kind but lengthy introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and our friends from the PICC and especially the construction sector. I'm really happy to be here today. I've actually helped MC also the mining club and the mining conference over the last few years, and I can tell you this much: both industries are growing from strength to strength. We've practically been able to unleash a lot of the potential here. The statistics from Fitch show that the sector itself is going to grow around 8.5% to 9% in the next 5 years. It's a perfect time to talk about best practices, especially with regard to greening the sector and digitizing the sector so we can reach more Filipinos to unleash their own economic potential. But before I proceed with the conference and the first speaker, I'd like to highlight the following. First, administrative matters. We're going to be issuing a certificate of attendance for all of you here today. You can request a copy from Ms. Joanne Facutela at joanne@picc.com.ph. And we're going to have a great Q&A because these forums only make sense if we're moving the needle in terms of dialogue and action plans and joint ventures. This is a perfect area to do business matching and networking and building business together during and after the lunch. Now, let me say a few words about our first speaker today. Before taking on his role as a corporate communications specialist at Aidea, he garnered invaluable experience as a senior associate editor of Blueprint magazine, which is the leading and seminal platform for design ideas and architecture. That's where he contributed to shaping the discourse around architecture and design, especially here in the Philippines, where we are the emerging center for design in the region. In addition to his editorial work, he has a strong academic foundation, having served as professor of architecture at both the De La Salle College of St. Benilde and the University of Santo Tomas. He has also gained international experience by working for the esteemed firm of Freeman in Ionescu in New York City. Our speaker holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in architecture from the University of Westminster in London. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to welcome Mr. Nick Ramos.
Distinguished members of the Philippine Infrastructure and Construction Club, honored guests, esteemed colleagues and friends. First of all, Architect Tolentino, who sends his regrets for not being able to deliver this keynote address himself as originally scheduled. The honor of presenting his message and the privilege of joining you today at this important event are now mine. I'm Nick Ramos, once again, from a company called Aidea, and for your warm welcome, for the opportunity to share one of our firm's most passionate advocacies, that being digital transformation. I thank you. The future, they say, is smart. In today's world, being smart isn't just about being clever. It's about being connected and using technology to make life better. So when we speak about digital transformation, we're not talking about abstract ideas. We are actually talking about real changes in how we design, how we build and run our buildings and cities. I'm sure you're all familiar with this device. I've seen some wearing them around their wrists today. You know what this is, right? Yes? Okay, smartwatch. It's, again, a wearable device that can gather various types of data, making it a versatile tool for tracking your health, daily activities, etc. The specific data gathering capability of a smartwatch can vary depending on the model and brand, of course, but there are some common types of data that smartwatches can collect, such as these. Amazing little devices. They can detect one's, for instance, heart rate by means of sensors, either continuously or on demand, as your curiosity requires. It can monitor sleep patterns, help you, in fact, improve your sleep habits. It can track your activities and count your steps, estimate the distance you've walked or ran, etc. Some smartwatches can even measure blood oxygen levels, which can be important for assessing things like respiratory health, sleep apnea detection, etc. So they are incredible little things that provide us with a great deal of value that is harnessed from the data that they collect. Now, wouldn't it be great if our built environments can actually provide us with the same actual beneficial insights as, say, a smartwatch does? They actually can. In terms of our industry, just imagine for a moment our buildings, our infrastructure becoming smarter, being able to learn and adapt just like living things. This is truly what digital transformation is all about. It's about making our environments more responsive, sustainable, and efficient. It's like upgrading our buildings and cities to a version 2.0, where using technology makes everything just work so much better. The future is headed towards smart buildings and smart cities that promise exactly these and a lot more. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we continue the conversation. And this precisely is what why digital transformation is important, because it puts you on the track towards that very future, towards smart buildings, smart cities, an integrated global community. This just shows you the compound annual growth rate experienced by the global smart building market. And you can see that it is spiking very sharply as we move towards 2029. So there is a great deal of growth in the area. And these are the centers, the most dynamic centers of digital transformation in the global AECOO industry. Below is a list of the key players. Okay. Oops. I think I... Thank you. Okay. Just to have a look at generally future trends in real estate. You're all familiar with sustainability, the whole concern about efficiency in our building structures and in their manufacture, their construction. We have organizations such as LEED, which monitor the kind of sustainability features and capabilities that buildings have. You have LEED, which is pretty much, it's based in the US, pretty much international now. There is Green Mark as well, which is what they use in Singapore. More recently, and we're using the example of offices, by the way, there has been a growing concern, interest in the area of wellness, So more recently, you have organizations such as Well and Fitwell that that provide you with certifications for the wellness levels provided for by certain buildings. So now we are more concerned not just with the exterior of a building, but with the spaces that are inhabited by people, where they work, where they live, and how these spaces can actually contribute to the wellness, well-being, the health of those inhabitants. By the same token, we now also have certification bodies concerned with the smartness and connectivity of smart buildings. So now you have organizations such as Wired Score and Smart Score that give ratings with regards digital connectivity as well as the level of the smartness of a building. It's vital for us to ask this question again, why transform? Because the importance of digital transformation cannot be overstated, especially in the context of where we're headed, which is a data-driven digital future. If I may share a little bit about our perspective as a company. We are a design and technology firm, and from the moment we embraced digital transformation, data became the very heart of everything that we do. We are driven by data, and we believe that data is the business. Data is the business itself. So much so that we are structuring the company, evolving the company towards becoming a data company more than just design and technology. We're moving towards becoming a data company. And this is in recognition of where we're headed as a world in general. Okay, and we recognize a smart future, data-driven and intelligent. And we have actually created and continue to create subsidiaries that allow us to provide value at different areas of the smart building life cycle, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about in a moment. And basically, what we aim to become is a smart building consultancy. And our vision is to provide end-to-end expertise in smart building concepts and technologies, smart asset management, and data management and governance. Because we realize that there's so much more that can be done with the technology that transformation allows us. Now, one of our main areas of concern is the office building. It's the typology that we are very closely associated with as a design firm. And this is what the future holds in that area of design. Let me just share with you a short video put together by our partners at Siemens. Okay, so that is what the office of the 21st century looks like. And as a design technology firm, once again, we would like to provide value across the entire building life cycle. What do we mean by this? Traditionally, in the case of the traditional building life cycle, an architect's involvement is confined to the front end of the cycle, of the process. In a smart building life cycle, digitally transformed digitally transformed architects can offer value even after the building has been completed. The impact of the smart building is on operations, not the usual approach of architects. The product of this framework is a more sustainable building environment, helping solve the world's problems as we know. the entire world is becoming one big city, effectively, where by 2050, more than half of the world is going to live in cities. And as we know that, the population keeps growing, and it is taking its toll on our environment. Having smart cities that make up smart buildings that make up smart cities can actually help to mitigate that looming problem. Okay, but back to this, you can see that this is where architects start their involvement in the in feasibility and development, all the way down to the end of construction. But in terms of the case of a smart building, we can actually continue to provide value throughout the operations, which is actually what costs more. It costs more to run a building throughout its lifetime than to build one. And we're able to do that by providing them with a lot of insights gathered from data. So I won't go too technical about different types of spaces, but let me just make the differentiation between two types of data, which is raw data versus usable data. Raw data is essentially unprocessed and unstructured information. It's there, it's floating around us, generated by all sorts of devices that we carry, but it's not of value if it is just left unharnessed. Usable data, on the other hand, is processed and organized information that can be easily understood and utilized for specific purposes. In the same way that a watch tells you what it finds about you, our spaces can do the same for us now. And truly, data is the new currency. Raw data is like raw materials, and usable data is the refined product. Businesses and organizations can leverage usable data to make informed decisions, create value, and gain a competitive edge, much like currency can be used to trade and create wealth. So the comparison between data and currency highlights the significance of the former in today's information-driven economy. Just really quickly, I'm going to go down the list of the 10 technology trends in the building industry that are made possible by embracing digitalization. Okay. The right combination of digital technologies creates a platform to better operate the built environment, be it a smart building or indeed a smart city. And these are some of those technologies. First of all, we have virtual design and construction. We refer to it as VDC. It's also known as Building Information Modeling, or BIM. Here's a quick fact. 50% of a project's budget is wasted on miscoordinated drawings and the need to rework things. In building information technology, the technology allows experts to review a project and results in real time, enabling better collaboration. It is a perfect support for clash detection and problem solving during design, which improves planning and increases efficiency. Okay, the next one is all about automation. Sorry. There we go. Automation liberates people from painful and repetitive tasks. It enables people to spend more time doing true design work, in our case anyway. And it helps to deliver real benefits for companies, for partners, and communities in general. what it does for us as designers is that it takes all of the tedious stuff that happens towards the back end of a project, and it does it automatically so that we won't have to anymore, which allows us more time at the very start of the project to spend more time on the things that matter most to us as human designers, which is the design. So we won't have to worry about tabulating schedules and repetitive tasks like that anymore. Okay, the next one is mobile and cloud-based collaboration. Basically, it's a method of working together on projects using mobile devices and cloud computing technologies. It allows individuals or teams to share information, documents, etc. in real time from different locations, enhancing communication, project management, data accessibility. This approach is increasingly valuable across various industries, including construction, where it streamlines processes and improves efficiency. You also have virtual and augmented reality. VR immerses users in a computer-generated 3D environment, typically using a headset, which we're slowly doing away with now. AR, on the other hand, overlays digital information onto the real world through another device, such as a smartphone or smart glasses. So we actually use that now in our projects. Virtual reality, on the other hand, allows for immersive design simulation. It helps architects and contractors visualize projects before construction. Clients love it because of the huge savings. AR enhances on-site productivity by providing real-time data and overlays, aiding in tasks like inspections and maintenance. So both technologies help to improve safety and accuracy and can reduce project delays and errors. Of course, you have 3D printing, which is a technology that creates physical objects layer by layer from digital designs. In construction, 3D printing benefits by enabling cost-effective and rapid production of complex building components. It helps to reduce construction time and waste and offers architectural design flexibility. Artificial intelligence and automation reduce the need for human intervention. AI mimics human intelligence while automation focuses on streamlining, again, tedious repetitive tasks. So together they can complete certain tasks quicker, more accurately, and better than their human counterparts. Both are already being used in communication, sanitation, transportation, infrastructure, as well as construction. Okay. Did you know that 30% of business time can actually be saved by AI technology? It just helps to make things so much more efficient. Oops. Okay, so this is artificial intelligence and robotics performing, again, tedious, difficult tasks very efficiently. Okay. An exciting area of development is in the area of digital twinning. A digital twin is a virtual replica of a real-world object or system. It can be used to monitor the status of its physical counterpart and predict how it will behave in the future. It has a lot of potential, not only in terms of design, but in terms of construction and the future, which involves, once again, smart buildings and smart cities. Okay. In 2022, 40% of cities were using digital space planning tools like digital twins as part of pandemic recovery. The market for digital twins will continue to increase from 3.1 billion to 48.2 billion by 2026. And to further emphasize the point, the technology has advanced so far that it's now possible to clone, make a twin of entire cities. For example, a Chinese company, 51 World, has created digital twins of Shanghai as well as Singapore. So those now exist where they can monitor all sorts of different developments to be able to predict and effectively run these cities. In fact, even more than that, the European Space Agency is currently building a digital twin of the planet, not just the city now, but the entire planet. Digital twin Earth will help visualize, monitor, and forecast natural and human activity on the planet. The model will be able to monitor the health of the planet, perform simulations of Earth's interconnected system with human behavior, and support the field of sustainable development, therefore reinforcing efforts for better environment in order to respond to the urgent challenges and targets set by the net zero target. So that's going on as well. Moving back into real Earth, there's also integrated facilities management, which brings together, again, this goes back to the project life cycle that happens during the post-construction segment, wherein running a building becomes a more efficient operation because you are aided by feedback from the very building itself. In the cases where design might cost you $10 million, construction another 10, maintenance 500 million, the operational cost of a building is where the money goes. In this case, proportionately, you will end up spending about $4 billion US dollars in the lifespan of a $10 million building. So being able to run that building efficiently and properly is where FM integration comes in. Oops. That's just another video there. And we move now at number 2 to big data, which refers to a large and complex data sets that can be analyzed to extract valuable insights. In the construction industry, big data benefits by providing valuable information on project performance, resource utilization, as well as trends. This data-driven approach improves decision-making, enhances efficiency, and reduces costs, ultimately leading to better project outcomes. Okay. More than 90% of the data in the world today has been created during the last 3 years alone. That's a lot of information generated by all of the devices that we use. Smartwatch, smartphone, everything. Companies actually use less than 10% of all the data that they own, which means that you're missing out on a lot of opportunities for possible insights. Companies actually use less than 1% of that data that they have access to. And again, there is a lot there, a lot of potential gain that companies are not using. In the construction industry, big data provides benefits by providing valuable information on project performance, resource utilization, and trends. The data-driven approach improves decision-making, again, enhances efficiency, and reduces costs, ultimately leading to better outcomes for the project. So these are, just some of the benefits of big data. Anyway. And the last one is the Internet of Things, which involves connecting everyday objects to an internet that they all share, allowing them to collect and exchange data amongst themselves. In the construction industry, IoT benefits by enabling real-time monitoring of equipment, safety conditions, project progress. This data-driven approach improves efficiency, safety, decision-making, and reduces delays and costs. Okay, so these are some of the various industries today that benefit greatly from the use of IoT. They are industries wherein production downtime is very, very critical. These are just some instances where innovation, imaginative thinking, and using things that we actually, in our industry, have not yet fully embraced, have benefited. IoT actually makes digital twinning possible. And in aerospace, the first instance of a digital twin was used during the Apollo 13 mission. The team made a digital copy of the spacecraft that was having problems while in space. And the copy actually helped them to solve the problems while sitting on Earth, even though the spacecraft was, far, far away. It's like having a virtual model of your car and being able to fix it remotely. Heat modeling actually helps with studies of the Antarctic environment to monitor the behavior of polar bears that are endangered. So that's another way of utilizing collected data. And of course, weather modeling helps us to simulate changes in the atmosphere and act accordingly. Some of the more exciting areas of digital twinning is in the areas of medicine. And they've actually now can create a digital twin of a specific human heart. Anyone's in this room. A computerized replica that is used to understand how that specific heart works to be able to find solutions to any kind of health problems. Okay, so obviously the technology can help doctors diagnose all sorts of different issues, test treatments, and improve patient care by providing a detailed virtual copy of the heart that they can work with. Okay, so where are we now? As we explore these transformative technologies, it's important to remember that they are not standalone solutions. They are, in fact, reflections of our mindset, a mindset that embraces change, that believes in the power of innovation, and that understands the immense potential of collaboration. With this enriched mindset, with this enriched perspective, rather, on the technology shaping the future of our industry, let us return to our overarching theme, which is the importance of the right mindset. These technologies, remarkable as they are, require more than just adoption. They require a mindset that can harness their potential, that can adapt to their evolution, and that can steer them toward the betterment of our communities. So let us recognize that our journey towards a smart future and a digitally transformed construction industry is not a solitary one, but a shared endeavor. It's a journey where the right mindset is our guiding light, leading us towards cities that epitomize innovation, sustainability, and inclusivity. With this mindset, let us take decisive action to build the cities of tomorrow together. Thank you for accompanying me on this brief glimpse into this transformative journey. where the possibilities are boundless and the rewards are immeasurable. Together, we can shape the future that we and generations to come will be proud to call home. Thank you.
For that brilliant presentation. You're actually, and for Aidea, for helping take us through the future today. It's really interesting to see what's going on. As we say, it's a revolution in information, but also in applied science that we're seeing in the building, architecture, and the construction industry. Just want to share on a personal note. I mean, I do see that notion that you mentioned, the fact that 90% of data has just been mined or is set to be mined just from the last 3 years alone. And I see this already. I just came from Spain, where I actually met one of our solar clients. One of their sons, who works in the business school, is now working for an AI firm that is actually looking at buildings, helping the consumer side now do more due diligence on the buildings themselves by using AI. And so you can see, not just from a developer's perspective, but an empowered customer base that's going on in areas, in jurisdictions like Europe and the United States. So we're going to dive into that shortly in the panel. But we have an equally, if not super thought-provoking set of discussions here from our next speaker, who is the APAC head of, or Asia Pacific head of infrastructure and programs. And he is responsible for leading high-performance teams to proactively address significant and often high-profile client challenges. With over 30 years of experience, he's a dynamic and confident leader with a global record of success in the infrastructure program and operations management. Our speaker's passion is to create environments where teams are encouraged and enabled to perform at their best. By creating a vision of success within a safe environment for challenge and innovation, outstanding business outcomes can be achieved. To focus on your people, and then the results will come. Most recently, following the transformation of the Sydney Water's infrastructure delivery business, our speaker was the architect of and the leader in the establishment of Sydney Water's groundbreaking new infrastructure delivery network, Partnering for Success, or the P4S. It's a directive enterprise PMO, which is fully aligned to the ICE project's 13 principles. Further innovation through P4S saw Sydney Water become the first mover in adopting the full NEC4 suite of contracts to support the program, an Australian first, and certainly a benchmark for the region. As a major shift in how Sydney Water does business, P4S makes the transition from transactional business models to collaborative business models, something we can all learn from here as we cross-fertilize both our execution of our projects, but also the next level construction and townships that we're going to see across the country. Previous roles also saw him leading successful program operations such as London Victorian Water Mains for Thames Water, Christchurch Earthquake Recovery Program for Vero Insurance, and Fitzroy Region Transport Network Recovery Program for the transport and main roads in Queensland. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Simister.
All right, no worries. Right, hopefully I'm going to live up to that superb intro. That's a long one. Next one I send out will be a lot shorter and much more interesting. Okay, so look, I'm not going to be exciting, like talking about digital and the future of how we can digitally twin and operate things with AI and all those sort of bits and pieces. I'm a little bit more down to earth about people and how people should be working together and able to be delivering infrastructure and make a difference to not only how we're working for clients and communities, but actually the people that are involved in doing that delivery can enjoy it more, have an opportunity to focus on what they're... You can? Is that good? Go on. Okay? All right. So and how we can focus more on those individuals being able to work together as teams to get a more fulfilling life out of the career that you're operating in. So, as it says there, I'm head of programs for Asia Pacific for Mace, and what I'm just going to take you through here is a little journey talking about the delivery partner model, which is really taking program delivery to new levels and as a new area. And as was spoken about before, I'll give a case study of how it was applied, and you have a look and see for yourselves and think how it was used. So, what is the challenge? So I think the challenge that we're seeing and facing, that at the moment, projects and programs, they are getting bigger, they are getting harder to operate, there's more technology coming in, and when you get this sort of a snowball effect of larger programs and the resources that are available to be delivering these, you really do could come to a crunch point in terms of the ability to deliver these programs, and specifically about how the project management is operated. It was great at the ADB BOF last week. Don't know how many went there. How many were at the ADB last week? Brilliant, about 7 or 8. Excellent, good to see. And 2 things that I noticed were their key problems. Number 1, innovation. How on earth do we get innovation into things that the ADB is trying? And I gave them a few ideas about that. They were listening or not, that's okay. But the other one was about how projects are getting delivered and how the integration of ADB needs with the local agencies that are delivering the projects that are getting the funding, and how that actually gets executed. And they were actually talking about very, very urgently needing, in Pakistan, I know it's not Philippines, but they were talking about a transition network that they've put the funding in for, and they are desperately worried about the level and competency of the project delivery that is going to be enabling it. So that's what we're looking at, the challenge. And we also see that across the globe. I'll get that chair out of the way. Loses the big word, millions. Everyone loves the bit about money right at the bottom. Okay, so but these are the sort of issues and problems we keep on seeing. Mega projects are running late. Contractors are losing millions. When and you hear it, and this is something I've noticed. I've been in the Philippines a long time, 9 months now, so I know all about the place, obviously. And a key thing I've noticed is how many clients try to deliver a project themselves, then have a problem, then reach out at the last minute. I need some help. I urgently need the A team to come and sort this out for me. And they keep on perpetuating the same problem. Why do they keep on doing that? I don't know, but this is what we're here to try and resolve and have a look at. And then we're looking at, our good friend there talking about technology, investment in tools and systems really is lagging behind what we need to be delivering. Everyone's so desperate. You want it done now. You're all used to everything coming instantly on your phone. You want your projects delivered now. But we're still in the case of, was it the MRT? I think it started in 2009, and it might be 2027. I think it's people that were born when the project started will be old enough to ride on it when it's finished. So that is not good enough. And something I look at, and I've been, my career has been 30 years purely focused on infrastructure and projects and mega programs. This is what I've done around the globe, whether it's been in North America, whether it's all been through the UK and Europe, over into the Middle East, all through Asia Pacific. This is something that has really come down as a core issue. And it's something that I call the accidental project manager. And anyone that's an engineer in here, please don't take offense. I'm not having a pop about engineers, but an engineer is trained to be an engineer. They like their numbers, they like doing drawings, and they produce wonderful things that I could never produce. But they're not necessarily trained as project managers. Too many people, and it's not just engineers, could be anything you like. They're trained in the discipline they went to university to go and train in. There's such a lack of investment, such a lack of focus on training the discipline of project management, or actually hiring people that have got the core within their DNA to be a project manager. And to be quite frank, I don't care what your background is. If you've got terrific communication skills, you can focus on the big picture, you can enthuse people and delight a customer, but you can get your team to go above and beyond and to put the extra effort in that they need without being abusive, without having to threaten, so that you can encourage them and take them forwards and give them a vision of how they can really achieve and do their best. That's what a project manager is about. That's what the discipline is about. A project manager is not about really getting down into the details, looking at the drawings, making sure the engineering characteristics of the bridge are okay. That's the engineer's job. It's a completely different role to being that professional project manager. And again, it's going to be a nightmare for engineers, this next one. But it's like the joke. How do you tell the extrovert engineer? He's the one looking at the other guy's shoes. All right. So they're not exactly generally, and again, that's a generalisation. Don't take me to court on it. But so there is that general issue that we see in the project management community. And I think these slides we shared at the end of this, if you want them, so you can, you don't have to take photos of everything. It will be quite happy to share it. So what is the delivery partner model? The delivery partner model is an attempt to address those core challenges and, in a world, to be honest with you, try to do something that's promoting integration, consistency and value, because that's what we're seeing that we're missing in terms of delivery. Now, Mace applied delivery partner model, and we've done it around the world. And in the presentation at the end, I won't bore you with it now. It'll be in there to talk about some examples of where we've actually applied this, and it is doing phenomenally well. A good example is in Peru. We're working there as a recovery program. Typically, the time, I think we're working on hospitals and building schools, and typically the time that it took to deliver from concept to completion of a school was something about 9 years. Now it's down to 3. Completely changed the environment. And the thing about a delivery partner model is that it's not taking away from the local supply chain either. The delivery partner is about partnership. Partnership with the client, integration of a support structure with the client to bring that professional role of professionals doing a professional job. Engineers engineer, builders build, project managers manage, clients own. That's it. Everyone's got their part to play, and everyone can work together and integrate together. And there's different levels of integration. And you can do it at the individual project level, or you can do it at the wider program level. And what does it look like? It's pretty simple. That's like a delivery partner. My vision and my approach and my attempt with anything I do is to make it simple. The more complicated it is, the worse the outcomes you're going to get. You're going to have people not sure what to do, when they need to do it, how they need to do something. Keep it simple. So KISS is always the view looking at it. So yeah, you've got the client with corporate oversight. Whether this is on project or program level, the delivery partner's there. They can be integrated with you or not. That's the choice. When you're an owner or a client, you have the freedom to choose. Integrated with me and my people, embedded within the delivery partner, or separated. It doesn't matter. And then the delivery partner will be the one engaging and working with the excellent project services firms, like GHT, like Arcadis, going to be working with these organisations to make sure they do the right thing at the right time using their brilliantly minded engineers, because that's what they're good at. And then when it comes to the contractors, using the local contractors, because again, too many clients end up being, and if you're a client, and you probably won't hire me, I'm going to say too many clients end up being too lazy. And what they do is they just hire a big main contractor and say, build this for me. And what that ends up doing is they end up actually subcontracting it, and then they're not in the position of being a professional services firm that can do the project management. They're after the throughput. They want the money that's coming through in terms of the materials and all those other costs that they're buying. So you're losing the benefit that you can have by a delivery partner sitting there being able to work with the engineers, keep them focused, work with the contractors, keep them focused, and then identify there might even be certain elements that the client should be buying themselves. So how you package up the work. And of course, it comes into the world of once you've got something like a professional services firm, a lot of the contractors and other engineering businesses, they're not necessarily going to purely, because the returns are not going to be there, invest in the right technologies to be able to enable you to go through the concept, design, construction, commissioning and operations with, and the magic of the digital twin. Because it's not They're there to build. They're there to get the engineering pieces done. Streaming this together, getting your BIM models in place, getting the solution that is almost like, I call it the Minecraft. You call it digital twin? I'll call it Minecraft. So the Minecraft of any operation and any business. So when I was at Sydney Water, that's what I'd initiated about 5 years ago, developing the Minecraft of Sydney Water. So you can plug and play and you can go to a supplier, get their pump, stick it into your model and see what it does. That's the solution in the world that we're looking towards. But of course, you can take it to the extreme if you're really, really keen on not looking at it just on a project-by-project basis, but at an enterprise level, looking across significant programs of work. So we're working in Canada with Go Expansion, which is a $20 billion expansion of their rail network. And they have a digital command center, and that sounds pretty cool. So, but they get the opportunity to look live digital information on how things are progressing. They get the opportunity to fully integrate their BIM models into the work that's being executed. There's dashboards. There's the opportunity to be able to sit down and share whatever's relevant from whichever particular member of the executive or supply chain that needs to see it. And on big boards, so you can do, I like visualization. So getting the chance to walk into a room with a visual display board about how your program is being delivered and being executed and what issues and what problems there are. And you can call in your particular project managers and drill down, or the engineers or the contractor, and drill down on their information. That is a powerful way to operate. Now, I know it might be a little bridge too far at the moment, but these are the sort of things that are out there, and they're out there now, and they can be available if wanted. So, sticking to my, out of those 30 years, lots of it has been associated with the water sector. So, some time at Thames Water, and then my good friend Perry there, sat down at the front, was the one that dragged me out to the Philippines in the first place and said, look, I love how things worked at Sydney Water. I think you should come and have a chat with some people out here. So it's Perry's fault that we're here, but anyway, thanks, Perry. I'm delighted. Glad you joined me at my table as well. So how did something like this actually get applied into a live situation? So the Sydney Water Operation Region. So it's about 13,000 square kilometres, 5 million customers. So I know it's not huge, but it's not bad. It's doing okay. And typically, when I joined, the target was for the business to be delivering about $500 million per annum, but it was failing. It was delivering not even 200 million. It was stumbling, it had problems, it was archaic in terms of how it operated. But there was 1,500 projects live at any one time. That's a lot. But the challenge then that I looked and saw coming down the line was that by 2036, the population is going to increase by 50%. And you think a 50% increase in your population over the next 13, 15 years, that's a big number. You've got to do something about that. Whether it's roads, bridges, rail, whatever it is, water, you're going to need to supply them with something to drink, and you're going to get rid of the stuff afterwards. That is a huge spend in anybody's book that's got to happen. And thousands of homes and thousands of new jobs. And what it needed was going to be this mega program approach to go and resolve that. So the first thing to work on was stabilizing, aligning. And again, you'll get these slides. You want the secret cheat code to, if you've got an organization and you want to improve how you do your project delivery and program management, that's it on a page. Stabilize, align, enable, optimize, and extend. It was a journey over several years to be able to look at the way that we're operating as a business. Because Sydney Water is a state-owned corporation, so it's publicly owned, but it's got a commercial intent to be a successful business. So it can't be a fat behemoth. It's got to be lean, it's got to be efficient, because the profits it makes, it returns to the New South Wales government as a dividend. So it's got to be a profitable business. So we worked our way through to get the foundations right. And by the time we got to the end of Optimize, basically we had a machine that was humming. But the machine that was humming was limited. It would not be able to quite stretch for the sheer volume that was coming down the line. So when I said 200 odd million is what it was doing when I first joined, By the end of getting to optimizing, we'd taken it to 750 million a year without any appreciable increase of cost or anything within the business. But the next step that was coming was going to be enormous. And the next step that was coming was what is in place now, is a $2.5 to $3 billion per year program of work. And that is what P4S was put in place to be able to cope with that sheer massive jump in terms of investment. So it was put in place because even though the thing was delivering well, it still was not. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist. You know, if anyone's got a bit of OCD, I'll join you on that, because I like things tidy. And there were still things that needed tidying, and that's what the optimised piece and moving on beyond how we structured and got the program working was all about. They were still getting hundreds of contracts that we were awarding every year. And we had thousands, and it was it was about 3,000 suppliers on our books as a company. I'm trying to imagine how on earth we could have 3,000 suppliers that we needed to work with for the work that we were undertaking. It's ridiculous. So you can imagine the administration, the sheer effort needed to govern and contract manage that amount of suppliers. Whoa, go on, you can do it. Okay, to be able to manage that many suppliers and not have issues with communication, issues with amount of work they're getting, issues with you haven't spoken to me for ages, do you not love me? You know, that's what us suppliers are like. We need to be loved as well, you know. Okay, and what was fortunate was that this was coming to one of those like once in a lifetime moments, that there were a bunch of framework and other contracts that were coming to an end all about the same time. So that's when I had the opportunity to go, the success we've made over the last few years in developing our delivery framework, we can now really take it to the next level and cover fully the enterprise level. And what that meant was I really wanted to take it to be a bit further and really encourage integration across the supply chain, focus on the customers. They're the ones paying our wages. They're the ones paying our bills. It's not about us, it's about the customer. So what do we do every day, everything you're doing, focus on that customer. Enhance that management across the entire life cycle. Where are we wasting money? Where is time being thrown away? Why are we repeating things? Improve safety. When I joined, I don't know if you use TRIFR as a measure here, but which is the total recordable injury frequency rate. Now, when I joined, the team had a TRIFR of 14. Probably means nothing to you. 14's okay. It's not a great number. You know, quite a lot of organisations could be up at some 20s and 30s if it's really dangerous. But the oil and gas industry, they're right down there at 1s and 2s. So they've got it really, really, and this is sort of exemplary, how you work. We, without any appreciable extra investment and targeting on our people and targeting on how we integrated and worked together, took it from 14 to below 3. Now, the gas industry spends billions on achieving that. This was just done by enabling people, making things clear, and making it somewhere where we share good ideas and good information, because safety is not a competition. Why should it ever be? Should anybody have a competitive advantage over safety? I've got to challenge you on that. And then we wanted innovation. So hopefully the ADB pick up on all of this sort of stuff. I've sent them the presentation. So you know, talking about innovation. So we encouraged them to bring innovations in. If we had a target cost for a project, under this big framework, what we actually did was had an innovation fund. So if somebody came up with an idea, they'd present it. Does anyone know the program Shark Tank? Yeah? Okay, so we had a Shark Tank. So if anybody from any of the teams, contractor, client, whatever it is, came up with an idea, they could go and present it to the Shark Tank, and if it got approved, then it would get funded out of the money that we'd saved on other projects. So we'd take it forward. And so I was chatting to our man Quintin about microgrids. That was one of the ones that we went through. But anyway, And then we wanted something flexible, because as the program grew bigger, it grew smaller, it had got faster and it got slower, it needed to be able to flex with that change in demand. And if you wanted to, again, so this is the next piece. You want the cheat sheet on P4S, Partnering for Success, on a page. There it is. It's got all the answers on one page. So basically, well, I think it was, let's see, is that the right one? No, all right. So basically, we put in place regional consortia. We had 3 regions, north, west, and south. There isn't an east, because it's a sea. So there was a north, west, and south consortia that we put in place. Sydney Water was us as part of the partnership. Shared purchasing was something where our entire supply chain would fall under this P4S banner. So basically, those 2,500 suppliers would be reduced to 600. And it would be a closed supply chain, which meant the consortia, if they wanted to subcontract anything, they could not go outside of our shared purchasing framework. They could only use the contractors and the suppliers and the consultants that are on our shared purchasing framework. That way, we kept control of the quality, kept control of the deliverables, kept control of how the communication worked, kept everyone up to date, kept everyone informed, gave them enough lead time to get prepared for whatever's coming. And it encouraged, again, if you're in that shared purchasing framework, you don't want to be out of it. It's not a good place to be outside a closed supply chain. So you're going to need to be putting your best people on the job, not just winning something and then putting the A team out there as the sales piece and putting the B or C team on. You do that, you're not going to be in shared purchasing very long. So it really encouraged the best and the brightest to stay and be part of it. And then the planning partner, again, they were fully integrated. They were looking at the 50-year plus horizon, developing all the forward plans, but they did it in partnership with our contractors, with our purchasing suppliers, with Sydney Water. We all did it together. So, because there's nothing worse than a planner, because planners plan forever. You've got to stop them one day, say, all right, stop planning, that's good enough. I think we'll move on from there. But a lot of planners love to also do it in isolation. They'll put them in a box and sit there and plan. What about getting the contractors involved and not the tier ones that just sit at the top and not quite sure how to deliver it? They'll subcontract it anyway. Get the tier 2s, get the tier 3 contractors involved, talking to the planners, so that actually when they finish a plan and they come to the end of that stage, they got something that actually is relevant and the numbers seem believable. So pretty much that's how it came together. And I meant, it's got NEC4 contracts. That's a completely different, exciting topic for another day. And Project 13, again, another separate thing to talk about. If you want to understand best practice models, the P13 initiative is something by the Institute of Civil Engineers that is an industry collaborative in the UK that is pulling together. And has anyone heard of something called Chatham House Rules? So Chatham House Rules is what you're saying here stays in here, pretty much, anyway. So what they actually do is they really open up and say, this is a problem that I've got on a mega project, on a program I'm delivering, who can help? Give ideas. And it's not about winning work off someone else, it's about you get in there and share and look at the best solution that can help them out, because we're a collective and we're trying to work together. And, the whole focus on cost, consistent delivery, and opportunities to further safety was all part of it. Again, if you actually get the PowerPoint thing, if you click on P4S, there's a terrible video. I'm in it. Not that bad, to be honest with you. All right, so there's a little video you can go and have a look at. Or if you don't click on that and you get it in a PDF, it's on Thames Water. Look at that, what a slip. It's on Sydney Water TV. So you can go and look on Sydney Water TV or connect to me on LinkedIn, and it's on my LinkedIn profile. Anyway, but this is what the model looked like. So basically, it works from left to right. You plan, you design, you construct, you maintain, and operate. But all of that, this is what makes this unique. It's not about just the designer and the contractor perhaps being a partner. This is the planners, the designers, the contractors, and the operators all being part of it. So the maintenance teams were part of the same consortia. So for the regional delivery consortia, they did all design, they did all construction, and they did all maintenance as well. So the issue there is for them, you build something shoddy, you've got to maintain it. And you're not going to get extra money to go and maintain it, so you make sure you get it right in the first place. And, you get the opportunity to then, if you see the bit of a wedge at the bottom, shows how the operators and maintenance teams really got the opportunity in this model to input into the front end. Lots of digital models, lots of BIM, sitting there on 3D, and they really enjoy it as well. It's quite good fun. Putting your headphones on, it's quite funny actually when you're not got the headphones on, watching the other person walk around, they look an idiot, but it's okay. They're able to work their way through in a digital environment, understanding, well, I bang my head on that valve as I'm walking through. This is the sort of stuff that is in place now. This is what they're using to go and build the treatment plants, working on the networks within Sydney Water. So it's a phenomenal place, and the buzz that you get around there is quite amazing. And a lot of it was underlined by a maturity model, because these regional consortia and the planning partner are all 10-year agreements. So again, it's really important that A, you get onto it, but B, you don't screw it up. You screw that up and then you're going to get exited, because it's got teeth. And these KPIs are the parts that give it teeth. There's measures of maturity, so we gave a guideline and we worked collaboratively to come up with the measures. Over the 10 years, every year, what do we need to see improvements in diversity, innovation? I'll read it out. It's probably too small for the old ones at the back, like you, Daniel. You probably can't read it. All right, so diversity, innovation, digital engineering, collaboration, legacy, productivity, safe, healthy environment and quality, and customer advocacy. They were the things that were important to us, but we made sure that we worked on it in collaboration with the engineers and the contractors and the maintenance teams to make sure that this gave a pathway. So it's like the ABC of how to succeed under P4S. We'd rather you didn't win it and then get thrown off. We'd rather you won it, got on board with us, and came on a journey to improve us and yourselves together. And then it's not just us, it's about who we're delivering for. But there were some BAU KPIs. Every executive wants to see every day, how's productivity going? How's health and safety? How are the customers loving us? Okay, we'll give you some BAU and you can look at those. But anyway, the ones that we really worry about is the longer term. And so we provided all of that excitement. And these are some of the results that the business saw. So there was delivery increase from 250 million to 2.5 billion, tenfold increase in delivery. We were held up by the UK Major Projects Association as an exemplar model for programme delivery. In 2018, we were hailed as one of the top 10 programmes in the world. A rapid turnaround. So when I joined in 2014, so over the 4 years, bang, we were there, top 10 in the world. That's lovely to really be called out in that way. And this is now going to be featuring, I think it's the Association of Project Managers, AIPM maybe, or IPA, somebody like that. Anyway, so there's a book that's being written at the moment, and this is going to be one of the key features of the book when it comes out. So this is really right up there in terms of how things are being delivered. So we saw a dramatic improvement in efficiency, cost efficiency of 15%. So think, if you've got a $1 billion program and you're saving 150 million, that's not bad. I think that's pretty good. You can spend more on something else, or you can put it in your back pocket. Whatever you want to go and do, that is the opportunity to put there. But what I really loved, and I know all that other stuff is lovely, and contracts are streamlined and we have better collaboration and innovation. My bit, for me, was the level of staff engagement. How the teams absolutely loved what they were doing. When I joined 2014, the delivery team were bottom of the, most companies do a pulse, send out a pulse once a month, once a quarter, whatever it is. How's everything going? What are people enjoying? What are they not? The delivery team was abysmal. It was antagonistic, people didn't enjoy what they were doing. After a couple of years, we were top, and we stayed at the top for the next 6 years. The very top team in the company, consistently, everyone knew what they were doing, They were all focused on what they were trying to go and achieve. They enjoyed what they were doing, and they felt a sense of accomplishment, not just for the business, but for the customers that they were working with. So it was, I'm really, really proud of what everybody put on board. So that's all well and good. That's how it works in Australia, and that's how it's worked in other ways, and that's the basis of it. But what about it? How can it be relevant to the Philippines? Well, you use the concept here, of course, of PMC. And I look at it as a PMC delivery partner. So things like the Bataan-Cavite Bridge, I'll be saying, for example, I'd go, that's a bloody good example of where you should have this type of delivery partner, PMC, in place. Experts, I tried to put in professionals, but it's too big a word to fit across, so I had to shorten it to experts. So anyway, so it should be professionals doing a professional job at all levels. That means the client. So whether it's the Department of Public Works, whether it's the ADB, whether it's the PMC partner, whether it's the engineer, whether it's the contractor, you're all professionals. Do your job. Do your thing you went to university for, or college for, or just picked up as a handyman learning in the street. That's what you enjoy. That's your profession. Do it. Do it professionally, and you'll do an amazing thing. So it can be at the massive program level. You can have it at an enterprise level. You know, San Miguel could say, yeah, San Miguel will be your enterprise delivery partner. Whatever you go and do, we can work in with you and upskill your teams, fully integrate with your business, and deliver what you need. Or you can do it on the individual project, like Bataan-Cavite. Go and do it. We can provide that PMC, working with the right partners to make it a success. And it's all very little, but, you know, the implementation challenges that you have here, they're not unique. You know, what I've spoken about, you know, those issues, dramas, problems, you know, that's what exactly what happened in Sydney with the light rail. Bit of a screw up. I wouldn't have done it the way they did it. But anyway, you know, what happened there, put out a contract for 500 million, ended up costing an extra 1.5 billion because they were antagonistic. There was traditional contracting, didn't engage, didn't work together. No, here's what we've said. That's yours. All the risks are yours. You can't do that. You've got to be intelligent. You've got to be taking your risk, sharing risk, allocating risk to the right place. You've got to look about how regulation works. Do things need to change in a regulatory place? Does policy need to change with government? You know, the next president comes in, you've got a completely different policy. So we'd probably need a bit of consistency. Would be pretty handy so that you get a good glide path that you can work along. Technology, and of course, there you go. This is meant to happen. He was going to talk technology, and I'll have it in my slides as well. So look, talking about a digital spine, whether you're there in that position, digital spine can be for the city, can be for the road, can be for the water business. But we've got to make sure you've got to be looking, as I mentioned, continual ways of operating, working. Adversarial contracting is continually failing. Things are running late. Things are running over cost. People are not enjoying it. I look around, there's a lot of people not happy. And should that be the way? You know, we're only here once, unless you believe in reincarnation, your choice. But, you know, we're here once, so let's have a good time. Let's get out and do what you've enjoyed to go and do. And let's live our lives to the fullest and enjoy what we're doing. Let's make a success. Let's be professional, and let's get out there and do something that at the end of the day, you've got to feel able to be able to go back and say, wow, I was really proud of what I did there, and call out people. Take a bit of time and recognise them. So let's have a look at different ways of working. So get a bit of this collaboration working, because it improves connection across the supply chain. Costs are better managed. People that are enjoying themselves and working together and really striving, they look for solutions. They don't sit there and go, I've got a problem. They go, boom, I'm looking for a solution. I'm really enthused. I want to solve. That's the way that things work. So what can we do? So I think you'll be able to get the opportunity to look at it and look at how to, we can work with you to adapt it for the Philippines. How can it be applied? How can you get your clear objectives? How can you look at the existing frameworks, and how can you assess how they're operating and how they're working, and how can this be applied? You can look at gaps, and then you can look at opportunities for buying. But the critical success factors, to me, what you're going to look at is those people skills. And again, with a delivery partner approach, this is about working as an integrated group with a client. That means you're upskilling that client. So they don't actually only just pay you to do your job, but almost for free, they get their own people upskilled by the delivery partner. Right? Sounds value for money for me. You get the chance to get systems and technology involved because quite often businesses or environments, whatever, can be quite insular. And you don't very often really put your head up and go, what else is going on in the world outside? This brings it in. This brings the opportunity to have something that's connecting globally with good ideas. Like I say, with the supply chain and stakeholders, and then looking at the overall financial benefits of working together as a group. You've seen the numbers. I don't need to go through that again. Made a mistake here. Should have had Carla on there, but that's mine. So that's Carla at the front there. Can you say hello, Carla? So you want any more information? Because you talk to me, I'll bore you, but Carla will be really focused and sharp with what she has to say. So she's our business development and marketing manager for the Philippines. So have a chat to Carla. She'll help you out with anything else. But with our MD, Matt, country manager, Nick, or myself, who's covering infrastructure and programs across APAC. Phone number's there. Give me a buzz if I'm not busy or not in a different country. I'll answer. Even if I'm in another country, if it's not too bad a time, I'll pick it up and I'll speak to you. But yeah, do reach out, get in touch if you want to talk about any of these sort of bits and pieces, and I'll leave it there. But at the end of this pack is a bit of stuff that talks about Mace. So you want to think, we had the videos playing, but nobody was watching it because they're all eating. So if you want to have a look about Mace and understand a bit more about who we are, or where we've applied the delivery partner in London in the 2012 Olympics, in the Pan American Games for Lima, in Peru, we're working there at the moment, a full reconstruction program after devastating floods. This is schools, this is hospitals, this is roads, this is rail, this is all the infrastructure. And we've got some great partnerships that we're working with there. Dubai and Highways England. We're the partner for building roads, repairing roads, making a change to roads in the UK. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Quintin. In our case, it's easy after the pandemic to convince people of the benefits of digital transformation because of how they had to. They had to find other ways of doing things, of continuing work, going to school, day to day. It's easy to point to, how things had to change by necessity, and how quickly they were willing to do it, and why. We asked them to ask themselves why they're not doing it in consideration of bigger considerations. Nothing immediate, but in terms of the long term, it becomes easy, and they see it based on that perspective. They get to see that, you're right. There is something there. We had to change, and in the face of all of the things that are looming in the horizon, we need to make a decision sooner rather than later.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. And Mark?
Yeah, I think I've always just found is must have talked about the digital twins and use of technology. We all know technology is helping in general areas, but one of the biggest issues is about, I think, is showing it's a leap of faith, because you're saying that if I apply this technology, you're going to save 50%, 30%, or whatever. But if you're the first mover, you're the first one that's going to try it. Who's going to be the one that's going to take the risk to go and be that business right at the front end to say, okay, I'm the CFO at the moment, and I'm going to take enough of a risk. I'm going to risk 30%, etc., on this new piece of technology. That's the problem. I think we need to be able to have something that can effectively. It's almost like a model for the model. Yes. So you've got to have something that can almost like use AI, whatever it is. I don't know. You guys are much smarter than me on this sort of thing, and to be able to go and run it through something that's going to give you a genuine view and a real opportunity, because you've got to persuade the money people. At the end of the day, it's your finance teams, your CFOs. They're the ones you've got to convince your investors and your backers to say that, because it costs a lot of money. It's not an easy thing to go and do, to invest in this technology. So you've got to figure out a way to be able to demonstrate and really model that this can happen and this can be achieved. And it's a tough ask.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And gentlemen, thank you for that. I mean, it really is going to be a challenge in moving the needle, getting you beyond minimum viable products to theoretical frameworks to the actual proof points of we could actually save this, right? And that's a challenge, but it's also a great opportunity because, as you mentioned, Nick, it is a pain point that we need to solve. We don't know when the next black swan disruption is going to happen. So at the end of the day, the case is being made more compelling for all of us. Now, specific to you, Mark, I'd like to see you outline the key challenges in establishing an enterprise delivery partner or partnership. I mean, how do you overcome that?
Again, a lot of it actually, and I think I can safely say this because I'm almost like on the cusp of a boomer. So a lot of it is convincing the senior executives to change from how they've been operating in the past. Because one of those old sayings, isn't it? It's if you do what you always do, you get what you always got. And if we're in a position of continually having problems, struggling, looking at adversarial contracts, and you sit there wondering why, and you see a lot of the generation that are coming through, it's very open. There's a lot of information. People are sharing stuff on social media. There's a real desire and there's a real openness and transparency to information, which implies that society is trying to continue. We're social beasts at heart. We're not isolated animals. And so we want to be in a position of trying to share, it feels good. It feels good, especially, for example, if you do a bit of charity, how good do you feel that you helped out, you worked at the hospice, you did something like that? You feel amazingly good that you did something lovely for somebody else. You get nothing in return, except bloody hell you feel good. And that sort of thing is what we're trying to get through into a position of saying, look, things don't have to be adversarial. We can move forwards, but there's a lot of suspicion in a lot of senior places, and there's a lot of concern that actually they're going to be undermined, because this is taking them out of their comfort zone, not something they're used to. So it's incumbent upon us, like I say, I'm right on the cusp, so I could be us or them, doesn't really matter. But it's about the new ways of thinking and working and operating to be able to give a comfort zone, to give a safety zone, to say, look, your knowledge and your insight and leadership and thought is really, really valued. What's happened in history can repeat. So we do need you, but you also got to be willing and capable and able to absorb and adapt to new ideas coming through. So to me, out of all of it, that is the number one challenge. There's not enough, to be honest, there's not much trouble and problems I've found with all, I've led teams with thousands of people in them. P4S has got to a position now of about 3,500, 4,000 staff. And the way it operates is just magic. And the team there work. But when you get a new executive come in, a new general manager comes in from one of the organisations, he's suddenly, right, well, I don't get this, and it's just, you're back to square one again, and you've got to go back and repeat all the training and upskilling that you've done with everybody else just for that one person, because they're a leader that's going to influence people. So that's the tough ask.
Yeah, it really is a change of mindset, especially for decision makers, old or new. That cuts across the industry. In the energy industry itself, it's just old school industry, and yet the concept of IoT and renewables and digitizing that industry is going to be the key challenge, right? And our dialogue every single day is, what's the benefit for you adopting and switching to that? So back to you, Nick, in terms of the broader question on the smart future, how do you get them on that transition? My question is really more of what kind of a balance can you have? Like, for example, in our industry, it's a combination of carrot and stick, right? It's the idea that here are the benefits. This is why we want you as policymakers or end users or conglomerates to adopt this. But there's also the the pain point, right? There's also the stick part, which is if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. There are catastrophic effects. There are cost overruns. There are all these things. How do you have that right balance to help transform?
What we can do, or what we try to do, is to share our experience with them and how we gained from, the transformation. And it makes for a pretty compelling story anyway. We recognize that when we shifted from a 2D process of design into a completely 3D digital process, things didn't work. For the first 6 months or so of having it, we quit cold turkey, all other programs, to do 3D. And we set a deadline for ourselves. After this date, we're not using any other programs. Just we're sticking with this. And it was a disaster because people could not, commit to deadlines. We could not make, people happy, deliver on time. But after a while, when we finally got our speed working, we were functioning far more efficiently than we were before. So there's that. That in itself was the immediate benefit. And then after that, we realized that looking into this technology, there are so many more things that you could do. And because of that, we actually created our own team of programmers to be able to push what it can do even further. And that led to another income stream for us. And then another, and then another. It just sort of keeps snowballing because doors keep opening and you recognize more and more opportunities. We tell them this, and we also let them know that the world is headed this way. And the question really, going back to what you asked earlier, is that the question really isn't can we afford to transform. The question really is can we afford not to.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's a good balance, right? You want to scare them into action, but you also want to incentivize them into action. That's going to be that having a right balance in a culture like the Philippines. We also tend to see the same resistance and opportunity in Indonesia, which has a totally different culture as well. So the idea that your market has a sense of urgency, but at the same time a sense of aspiration, I think is going to be the opportunity for you all. Now, Mark, just to your industry itself, specific examples of the benefits of an independent DP and PMC versus an integrated version from a contractor or an engineering consultancy point of view.
Yeah.
Sharon.
So I think as I tried to talk through there about delivery partner and the PMC, about having it separated from the rest of the supply chain. And what we're looking at there is, what I've mentioned all the way through the points through the presentation. It's about professionals doing the professional job. You allocate the right people to the right roles, and then you don't end up in that situation of having this accidental project management, not focused on the outcomes, not focused on the commercials, not really trying to embrace and engage a team and give a vision of what success is all about. But the other core thing, and this one quite pleases, I think, the finance teams and the procurement teams, is that they have this level of independence. So it makes the rest of the areas keep honest and keeps them focused. And we can have a commercial element within the PMC that can actually be, under the P4S model, the PMC actually had their own commercial team, which would, because these engagements are 10 years, no projects are under P4S, I failed to mention, no projects are bid anymore. It's all direct negotiation. So you're talking about $3 billion a year is direct negotiated with the incumbent consortia of each region. So there's no bidding, that's gone. That's what the prize was. That's the importance of winning and getting on to P4S. And that's the importance of staying there, because that is banked money to those organisations, as long as they don't screw it up. So don't mess it up. You know what it takes. We've given you the roadmap. You know how it looks to be good. So within these 10-year frameworks, the approach there is about, like I say, direct negotiation, but with a commercial team that sits within the PMC that keeps them honest. Because otherwise you're going to get your finance guy sitting there and goes, hey, how do we know they're not just screwing the price? Well, because A, we've got 3 regions and they're all pretty much doing the same type of work, so we can compare them. How do you know they're not forming a coalition or a consortium against? I mean, wow, there's got to be some serious conspiracy theories going on to really think they're going to manage to share all that information to price one individual little job in the area. They've got enough to worry about, delivering their own work. So worrying about that, club and having that suspicious mind was taken away by having our own independent commercial team that had all the rates from every contractor. So we knew exactly what it would cost to buy those materials, and the supply chain that we used was closed. So we knew the costs of everything. Mm-hmm. The only variable that was left open to any of the contractors delivering is productivity. And if you've got productivity problems, then we've got a problem. Why have you got a productivity problem? What is the issue? That was the only area really left for competition, except for innovation and coming in with new ideas and a new approach. But again, the magic of the P4S model was you had an innovation, you came up with something, you implemented it within your region. What we then would do is that we would franchise it to the other 2 regions. So if a new innovation was brought in one region, we thought that's really cool, we want the other 2 regions to use it, we'd franchise it. So then they would get a cut of the project being delivered in the other regions. So I'd come up with an idea, I'd do really well on a project, I'd franchise it to the other, and I'll get some of the benefits that come out of it. So it's an amazing, amazing sort of environment and culture.
Yeah, it's a wonderful combination of enhancing innovation, because first of all, you have independent oversight. There's enough check and balance. You've got all the information asymmetries taken care of, and then you incentivize it by scaling horizontally across the region. I mean, it's similar to what the central bank. I was at a financial conference a couple of weeks ago, and they were just talking about this sandlot or sandbox approach, wherein we're iterating, innovating. It's always good to hear the government talk about that and getting the private sector to adopt it across. And then it's first mover already of who gets there first. And then this idea of procurement, no more bids, all negotiated outcomes. That'll be good. So now we're looking at from strength to strength. Now, in this case, because we have limited time here, I just want to have you gentlemen close in terms of the kind of environment you need to allow that innovation, that adoption, and that success and unleashing productivity to happen. What do we need from our policymakers or industry so we can cut these cycle times tremendously, reduce the friction, and then get massive adoption so we can transform this economy for good? Nick, and then Mike.
From our lawmakers, you mean?
Yes, lawmakers, policy administrators, anybody who is you need to enable to transform.
They need to let go of the politics. They just need to let go of all of that stuff and just let life happen. All too often they get in the way of, it's funny how the people who are actually should be in charge of progress get in the way of things because of things that they feel they need to hang on to. I think letting go of those things is the first step in being open to innovation, opening yourself up to new ideas, wherever it might come from. That's what we need. We need more openness for people to be more accepting of fresh new ideas, wherever it comes from, wherever direction it should come. It's just, I think we're a little bit too scared to let go of things that we feel give us security, whether it's true or not, tradition, whatever.
Yeah. So inertia and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, before Mark comes in, it just reminds me there are 2 sayings I remember when it comes to how you look at government, right? And the first one is that Ronald Reagan used to say that the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are "I'm from the government" and "I'm here to help." That's on one end, right?
Yes.
But But in fairness to this administration and the previous administrations, they're allowing the private sector come in gradually. So the other saying on a more constructive note is that governments are here. This is from a Harvard case study that in a book that governments are here to steer but not to row. Let the private sector do the rowing and let the private sector do the innovation as well. So Mark, I want to hear your thoughts in terms of getting the kind of environment that will unleash all that productivity and have the government more as a partner rather than a stumbling block.
Yeah, thanks, Quintin. So, yeah, I mean, this is beautiful because I was just with the British ambassador and a trade delegation from the UK that was meeting with some key industry leaders from the Philippines. So we had the likes of MDC, San Miguel, Ayala, Aboitis, you know, they're all there. And the intent is to talk about what does it take for innovation, what does it take for investment, what does it take to be able to get private sector engagement and involvement. And one of the things that was an overwhelming theme was, you know, what I'd mentioned during my talk was about, you know, every time a new president comes in, you get a completely different change of direction. Whatever was planned, something goes out the window and there's something else going to be done. We've got to figure out some way that a government to government and industry to industry from different jurisdictions can say, let's set a course for something. I know you're going to have flagship things you want to go and do, and you know, if I come into what was it? It was a good analogy made about a golf course around here, and every time the new president came in, he wanted a different type of grass on the golf course. So like 17 presidents, and there were 17 different types of grass on the bloody golf course. So then the committee said, right, we're just going to do one, and it's enshrined that you can't change it again, unless there's a big problem. So, you know, that is just a typical example of things that don't go right. So if we get a bit of something that gives a bit of continuity, it makes it easier for industry to understand where we're going. We can plan. The better we plan, the more opportunity we have to give great ideas, innovation, and efficiency into what we're delivering. And it also helps, I think, when we're looking at things like linear infrastructure, is some of the permitting. And, you know, land ownership and these sort of things is difficult. And so perhaps some of these need to be rethought, because infrastructure, you know, the place is growing. And it's vibrant, and I love it. But the traffic is a nightmare. So come on, let's figure out that in some way. Unless we all get a drone each, then we're okay. Then that'll probably be chocker. But, you know, getting something working in that sort of a space. Because what I'm seeing and what I heard from the ADB, they are starting to listen. They are starting to say, yeah, we think we've got a problem here. We want better innovation and skills, and we think we do know that we need to change. But it is being that one that takes that bold step, as we said. And look, you people are all in the infrastructure game. You're all about innovation. Some of you, maybe. All right, hopefully. But this is what we need to be able to go and do. Just to, you know, it's not dark, it's bright, and there's things to for us to aim forward to. And I think Philippines is in a massively unique position with the sheer level of investment and the opportunity that it holds there, and the positioning that it has in the Pacific region. It really is sitting there on the cusp of being able to go somewhere and magically go somewhere. I went to Palawan, beautiful, El Nido. Who'd not want to go there? So you know, these sort of things are right on your doorstep. You're very lucky.
Yeah, thanks. And then just to summarize your both your remarks, there's strength in numbers. The idea that there's something I learned actually working in Australia about communities of practice. The idea that this is why it's called an infrastructure club and construction club is because we're here to share ideas, move things forward, adopt best practices, and then work with the government so we can align these laws and regulations so that we can really have a truly 21st century economy in the Philippines. So with that, I want to thank our wonderful speakers and panelists, Mark Simister and Nick Ramos, for their remarks and their insights today. Let's all give them a round of applause.